Greetings, Japan fans. Today's show, we're going to be looking at small business nightmares. Maishu, arigatou gozaimasu, and welcome back to the 11th year of the Leadership Japan series. And I'm your host in Tokyo, Dr. Greg Story, Dale Carnegie Tokyo franchise owner, president of Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training, and three-time best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery, which is Zaegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery. My new book, Stop Wasting Money on Training in Japanese, is Training de Okane o Muru ni suru no wa yamimashou. And all of my books are available on Amazon. This podcast brings insights, examples, and experience about leading in Japan. Trust me, it is different here. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues. We are not being sponsored by Libsyn, but we value your privacy, which is why we have our podcast hosted by Libsyn. Unlike many other hosting organizations, Libsyn have a strict policy that does not allow access to your private information by anyone. Here is our daily podcast lineup on Apple Podcasts. Mondays, the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show podcast. Tuesday, the Presentations Japan series. And every second Tuesday, the Business Tatsujin no Oishia Show. Wednesdays, the Sales Japan series. Thursdays, the Leadership Japan series. And every second Thursday, the Business Pro Podcasto Show. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show podcast. Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews. Before we get started, our handy Japanese phrase today is an incredibly important one. Biru mo ippon. Biru mo ippon. One more beer, please. Biru mo ippon. Biru mo ippon. One more beer, please. We need one more bottle of beer over here. Biru mo ippon. Biru mo ippon. Now this is episode number 531. Today we're talking about the ongoing nightmare of small business recruiting. There are more jobs than candidates in Japan, and this situation will only worsen from the boss's viewpoint. Those halcyon days of wading through a big pile of resumes and tossing most away have well and truly gone. If you get any resumes these days, you think you should go and buy a takurakuji, a lottery ticket, because your luck is obviously in. Counterintuitively, in some of the high-tech industries, whole teams of internal recruiters are being fired because the demand for that industry is down, and overhiring during COVID now requires firing people. In most industries, though, there is demand for staff, but they are hard to find in Japan. Job mobility here is much less than in Western countries, and so the people who are interested in looking for a new job may not be the people you want to hire. Big companies who can pay big base salaries and add various incentives will always be in a strong position to hire staff. They can afford to pay the numbers required for the quality they seek. For the rest of us, we are duking it out in the alleyway, trying to find a decreasing resource whose availability is declining. Recruiting companies are swamped with demand and are starved of supply, so they are in a position where they will recommend people they know are not really a fit because they have so few alternatives. So what do? Compromise on quality for the sake of having a body with a pulse, or wait for better people to turn up? In the hospitality industry, these compromises are taking place a lot more than before. A lot of people migrated away from the industry after the tumultuous upending of the economy because of COVID. Hotels are looking down the barrel of increased tourist demand for stays and not enough staff to clean the rooms and run the hotel services. The release of Chinese tourists from the no-travel ban by Xi Jinping's government will just add more fuel to the fire as the numbers ramp up even further. I have noticed it myself in the decline of service quality in restaurants I regularly frequent. I was on recently, and the woman serving my table was new, untrained, obviously didn't like people, and clearly hated her job. I bumped into the restaurant owners not long after that and mentioned it to them. I prefaced my remarks by saying I wasn't complaining, and that I was sympathizing that this environment is one where getting staff requires more flexibility than before, and they thanked me for pointing it out. Doesn't fix their problem, though. Find out more. We come back from the break. Today's show is brought to you by our public courses, but we also are doing custom in-house programs. We do these in both Japanese and English. We do them face-to-face in our super safe classroom, and we do them live online. The show today is being brought to you by, on the 6th of September, we're doing our flagship Dale Carnegie course. On the 7th of September, we're doing the 3-day version of that. The flagship one is a 12-week-long course. 7th, we'll do the 3-day version. And on the 14th, we will do the Dale Carnegie course in English. Go to our website at www.dale, D-A-L-E, -Carnegie, CARNEGIE.co.jp. Get my best-selling books, Japan Sales Mastery, which in Japanese is Zaegyo. This is the Bible for selling in Japan. Japan Business Mastery, Japan Presentations Mastery, plus Stop Wasting Money on Training, which in Japanese is Training de Okane o Muru ni Sunu wa Yamimashou, and all are available on Amazon. If you like learning by watching videos, we have nearly 2,000 there for you at Tokyo, Japan, Dale Carnegie TV on YouTube. We release 3 TV shows every week on YouTube. The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, that's the premier business show on Japan every Monday, Tokyo time. Fridays, we have the Japan Business Mastery Show, and on Saturdays, we release Japan's top business interviews, where I interview leaders from small, medium enterprises all the way up to the corporate captains of industry on one topic, leading in Japan. Every second Thursday, we release the Business Pro Television Show. You can email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Welcome back. I've had 4 resumes for salespeople to look over the last 10 months, which in itself tells you a lot. 3 of them had mental health problems, some declared and some hidden. None of those made it. The one who was mentally healthy was so poorly presented, it was a clear case of no common sense, and so he can't be placed in front of clients. Sales is all about first impressions, and his job was to sell me on hiring him, and he clearly had very little awareness about that or about how he presents himself. What would you think of a salesperson who turns up for the interview with a very cheap pen hanging from the outside suit jacket pocket like some propeller head? In his late 40s, he hasn't worked out that brown shoes shouldn't be matched with a black belt, that the shirt cuff buttons need to be closed, as does the top button of the shirt where you make your tie knot. You could make this stuff up. His resume was full of short-term stays and a lot of moving around. That isn't a negative for me, depending on the reason for the short stays and the constant movement. In this case, it was a bit too short and too frequent. Today, I wouldn't take him, but who knows what I'll be doing in a few months' time if there are so few candidates or the subsequent candidates are worse. This is the dilemma we all face in small business. How far from our standards are we prepared to stray just to get someone on board? I heard from a client recently about the chaos they were experiencing internally, as they hadn't been able to replace someone who had left with the right level of expertise, and now they are getting serious grief from one of their major clients. The replacement is just not cutting it. As we let standards deteriorate, we start to attack our own brand and our market pricing. In my case, we're a training company, so I always know I can fix skill gaps with training, lots of training. A lack of common sense, though, is probably not going to be something I can easily fix or would even bother to work on. If you're in your 40s and you cannot dress yourself properly, then forget it. My impression is we're all going to take less qualified people and spend a lot more time onboarding and training them to compensate for their deficiencies. Is this in the plan or in the budget? If it isn't, then I suggest now would be a good time to start working on both. Thank you for joining the Leadership Japan series. If you found the program useful, then tell your family, friends, and colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. You can contact me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Our website is www.dale-carnegie.co.jp. Until the next episode, take what you thought valuable, put it into action, because idea application is what makes winners winners. So be one of them. Remember, I'm in your corner, committed to your success here in Nippon.